Kind of the polar opposite to the Freudian approach is an approach I think we've talked a little bit more about in this class, is kind of the humanistic theories. In the Freudian approaches, maybe to compare it first, in the Freudian approaches, everything was based on what? Sex and aggression. The other thing that you should go back and add, dream analysis was very big as far as methods. So add on dream analysis. You would tell the Freudian psychologist what your dream was. And if, for example, if you had a dream that you were being chased by snakes and that you were then falling down a mountain and you were going to die, snakes would represent sex. Falling down a mountain and killing yourself would represent aggression. And you would tell your dream to the Freudian psychologist, and that would be the manifest content. And then they would give you the meaning behind it, and that would be the latent content. So for the Freudian psychologist, dream analysis was key with manifest and latent content. So add that into your details for the previous one. Sorry, I forgot about that. Manifest and latent. So the humanistic people really opposed this idea. The Freudian people were very much in New York City. The humanistic people thought that people could be optimistic, could change, and could do better. One of the big founders of this movement was Abraham Maslow, who basically thought of people having the hierarchy of needs. And I think we covered this back in the developmental realm, the hierarchy of needs, that you kind of go from basic needs, which is basically the basic needs would be the idea of safety, security, and shelter, moving into the middle level needs of self-esteem and love, and then becoming self-actualized, coming to be the person that you really wanted to be in your world. Carl Rogers also thought of people in a very positive, humanistic way, that you could basically offer unconditional positive regard. I used to joke around with people that if I went home to my mom, who passed away a couple of years ago, and I said something like, I was in 3 car accidents today, shot 3 people, and got somebody pregnant, and committed some other crimes, my mom would say, don't worry, Stuart, you just had a bad day, you'll do better tomorrow. That would be called unconditional positive regard. Genuineness. In the Freudian way, you tell the Freudian psychologist what's going on, and they tell you what it means. In the person-centered perspective, we want to understand, we want to grow together, we're kind of self-disclosing, and there's no therapist person, there's just kind of a mix there. And then the ability to show empathy, to understand what people are going through, would be very important here. So the humanistic approach, optimistic and positive, very different than the Freudian approach. The trait approach, and I like on page 436, Stephen Covey on TV is very extroverted, but in fact he's probably rather introverted in a way. Different traits people have, and certainly in personality, we think of ourselves as having different traits, and one of the approaches used to verify that is something we talked about in terms of statistics, was you run a factor analysis, and then if you turn to page 439, kind of outline the big 5 characteristics: conscientiousness, agreeableness, neuroticism, openness, and extroversion. So just kind of share the 2 sides of that. And maybe what you should do, I'll ask you to do this, is kind of classify yourself according to the big 5. So write down a little bit of information of how you would classify yourself into the big 5. The thing about the trait theories, though, that has kind of failed a little bit is many times when you go and interview for a job, they try to do a trait-based approach to you to figure out your personality characteristics, but oftentimes we find that even doing something like the Myers-Briggs or a factor analysis, the different traits people have, the social psychology in the workplace really does tend to dominate individual behavior in the workplace. And so trait-based approaches don't really work in that realm. So hopefully this gives you some good information. Classify yourself according to the big 5. Share in a couple of paragraphs where you are and why you believe you are in these realms. And also decide, maybe as a follow-up, when you've had a part-time job or been in a real-world situation, do you think the trait approach is as useful, or do the social psychology of the situation take over there? Thanks. Bye-bye.